Welcome back, this is Grey Wolf at the Construction Simulator 2 Fan Forum and Wiki, and today we're going to be leveling up from level 4 to level 5. And as you can see, I got a little bit of progression since the last video, but I've been doing a lot of these soil contracts where you take soil from the gravel pit and you bring it to the construction site. This is a very quick and easy way to earn some experience and gain a little bit of cash. Again, we're going to go to the vehicle dealer, we're going to rent a dump truck. We're going to quick jump to the gravel pit and load the necessary material required for the contract. Now you'll notice that soil contracts are cheaper than doing a gravel contract, and a gravel contract is far more expensive than doing a sand contract. It all depends. Now driving can be tricky, and if you noticed that the game is sped up, it's because, again, I don't want to waste your time with all of the smaller details. I want to get right to the point. Click your map and find out where you're going, because there is no marker on the map. And you can also click that map above you and turn it off if it gets in the way. Now you can also turn traffic off if it gets in the way, like this guy did. I think he was texting, he wasn't paying attention. And it will minimize any traffic violations if you do have that on, and it'll also minimize any interruptions into your game flow. Now, if you recall from an earlier video, I mentioned to make sure that you pour the materials inside the yellow lines, and also to try to pour it as evenly as possible. If you try to dump it all in one line, you're gonna mess up, and you're gonna have to go back and spend more money, and you're gonna cut right into your profits. Alright, we're all done, so now we're just going to, it took about 3 minutes and 30 seconds. We're going to put that point in the skill tree, and we're going to go with transport skills. This is going to allow us to offload soil or to load our concrete trucks automatically. And this is going to be really handy in saving us time and making the contracts more effective and fluid. So there we go, that's level 4 to level 5. Let's return the dump truck. Less than 1K, that's not bad. We're still making out very well. And let's go and look at a new contract. And now that you're level 5, you unlocked a special job that's going to unlock the next district. But the important thing is to know you need to own 4 vehicles. You can't just rent them, you have to own them. And it's a pretty interesting contract, and there's other gatekeeper contracts that will open up other areas, other districts in Construction Simulator 2's West Side Plains. Now that we've rented the cement truck, the first part of this casting contract asks you to actually drive to the gravel pit to fill the cement truck with concrete. And while you're driving around, try to see if you can find any of the Construction Simulator 2 tokens. Most of them are pretty well hidden, but if you just happen to be looking around, you might spot a couple. Let's look at the map. The blue is the first part of your contract that you need to succeed in, and the green is the construction site. And now that we're here at the construction site, let's go ahead and offload the concrete. And like I said in earlier videos, you do not need to have the CT660 with crane and the concrete bucket to complete these parts, these cement contracts, because you can just back the truck right onto the plot and offload the concrete that way. And now that this will be finishing, we're going to return the cement truck back to the vehicle dealer and pay the small rental fee, and of course obtain the funds for the extra concrete that was left inside. And 3 minutes and 39 seconds, you can actually complete these contracts much quicker if you do a lot of jumping around. And don't waste time driving, and just make sure you follow the contract by the T, because if you don't, you're going to miss something and you're going to waste time. Now let's go ahead and pick up another contract, and the orange farm looks like a lot of fun. It's a good 58K, and go ahead and look through and see what you need to do. We're going to need a compactor. It looks like we're going to need a cement truck again, and this one looks pretty easy for close to a 60K gain for the company. Now the first part of the contract asks you to compact, so we're going to rent the compactor from the vehicle dealer. And we're going to quick jump the compactor to the construction site. And like I mentioned in an earlier video, when you're doing the compacting, it's much easier to do linear movements. If you do vertical movements or horizontal movements, that's up to you. But it's going to be much more effective than trying to drive the square or drive the circle. So go ahead and long press the compactor and activate its ability to vibrate, and the vibrating compactor will start to flatten out the earth for you. Now we're just going to speed right through this so we don't waste any time watching me compact the soil, and we'll get right back to the action. And remember, these videos are designed just to be about 15 minutes or less, sometimes 9 minutes, and that's going to help speed up the process if you have contracts that you don't want to complete or don't have any desire to do. There is a 10-minute timer that resets the contracts for you, and by watching these videos you can eat up some of that time and get back right into your game and try to accept a new contract that's going to be fruitful for your company and a little more fun to complete. Now we're done. We return the compactor, and less than $1,000 later, we're back to the next part of our contract. Now the next part of the contract is to rent the cement truck, so we're going to do that. Jump right to the construction site, and that's another thing too. If you jump 100 times, you'll get 3 achievements with a total of 17.5K to your company's finances. Now what you just seen me do is long press the concrete truck and quick fill it, and that's one of the skills that are available to you and that I recommend that you apply to a level 5 on the skill branch with the transport skills. It's going to let you quick load your concrete trucks, and it's going to let you quick empty your dump trucks, which is going to save you time and gain you as well as valuable money. You'll also be able to do this for the roadworks contracts, the road refurbishment, but we'll get into that much later. Now, again, with the excavation, I personally love excavation, but if you don't get the hang of it, it's going to be a little frustrating. And like I said earlier, just move one arm at a time, one bucket at a time, until you get the hang of it. Then you can move both arms in a fluid motion. Now, another thing too about digging within the contracts, sometimes you might find that the task is not completing, even though you feel like you've pretty much dug down to China. What you want to look for are areas that you have not excavated, and if you double tap the screen, you'll see red areas, and that's where you need to excavate. Where I'm going to end up excavating in the center and not receiving any soil, that means that I can't dig there anymore, and I need to start looking at the sides. My tip to you is to excavate the sides where the yellow tape is and clear that area as well once you've cleared the center. Now you'll see here I'm not getting any soil, so I can't dig there anymore. I need to start working on the sides, and there you go. I finished up that task. Now it's for the next part. We need to reset the tractor, take it off the construction site, and quick jump to the flatbed and pick up our cargo for the next part of this contract. And if you long press on your map menu, it's going to show you where you need to go. That's the blue marker. And we're going to drive out there. I'm going to put this on high speed so we skip through all the traffic. And like I said earlier, you can turn traffic off if they get in the way at all, if they interrupt your flow, or if you do have traffic violations on and you hit a vehicle, it will charge you a lot of money, and it's going to come out of your company's expenses. Now I skipped the loading scene. You already know how to load, and like I said earlier, make sure you're watching out for the CS2 tokens. Right now the developers have them shaped as presents because of the holiday season, so you can double tap the screen and find them. And what we're going to do is try to collect at least 5 of them in between your first and second finance cycle, and that's going to give you, on top of the 5K that you'll get for finding 5 of them, you'll also get another 10K as an achievement. And once you get used to driving as well, which is a little bit tricky, I turned my steering sensitivity all the way down, and even still you have to constantly toggle your steering wheel back and forth. Now once we get to the site, we're going to offload the materials, and that's going to be the end of the contract, and we'll see just how quickly you can complete this contract as long as you do it flawlessly and without any interruptions to your flow. And you'll see here I'm going to offload the orange first, and that's actually a mistake on my part. I was jumping ahead of myself, but it still works out either way. I'm just going to set it down right next to the spot. Sometimes this doesn't work, so don't do what I just did, because the blue tape will show up and it'll ask you to remove objects from that area before you can complete the next stage, and that's going to cut into your time. But luckily for me, I'm able to get away with it this time, so we'll just stick the orange right on top and reset. There you go. 25 minutes to complete that contract. We could do 3 of those and make about 180K, and that'll put us well into the clear of the finance cycle. Now it's back to what we were going to do. We're going to find 5 CS2 tokens, and if you remember your earlier contracts, go back to those areas and long press on those CS2 tokens, or in this case the CS2 presents. And right here I fell asleep for a minute, so don't mind me, but we're going to be driving to the first construction site. If you remember in the beginning, right after the tutorial, there's a CS2 token right next to this house. Long press, collect. Now we're going to drive to the next area, and I believe I seen one on top of a roof somewhere, but if you don't recall exactly where, you can double tap the screen and it'll show up red. It'll be a blinking red object, and if you can see it there on top of that house, that's where it's at. We're going to go there and collect that one. Now there are 125 of these hidden throughout the 4 districts, as well as the highways and some of the landscapes that are surrounding the cities. So don't be afraid to give yourself a good head start and then go searching for these. Or I fell asleep again. You'll have to excuse me. That was working well into the hours, the wee morning, to complete these videos. If you drive out along the edges of the cities, you can find them. If you make sure you hunt up and down every single street, you can find them. In Desert Springs, they're pretty obvious, and some of them are kind of hidden, but as you can see, this one's right in a cul-de-sac. Very easy. I noticed that when we were doing another contract earlier. And the 5th one, I'm just going to give to you guys. It's actually in between the material supplier and your home base. Right over here in this construction district, this pallet, this crate area, right next to that building. Okay, and that's 5, and that's going to give us another achievement. Finders keepers. And that's it for this video, level 4 to level 5. I'm Grey Wolf from the Construction Simulator 2 Fan Forum and Wiki. Subscribe to this channel and stay tuned for more videos.